Good morning, Ram fam, and today I'm going to talk to you about greatsword builds, specifically Brachydios greatsword builds with mostly Raging Brachydios, not Furious, Raging Brachydios Armor. It just came out this Sunday, and I made a handful of builds. Now, it should be noted that these builds may not be the very best. They may not even be the meta, but I made these builds with using these weapons in mind because they look really cool and the armor looks really cool. So I made viable optimal builds that utilize the weapons and also mostly full armor sets. Now, these weapons are surprisingly strong. In fact, they have higher raw damage than raw damage than most greatswords, lower than Raging, and lower than a maxed out, fully awakened Safi attack greatsword. But they have natural purple sharpness, so it gives them a really nice competitive edge. It gives them a nice competitive edge compared to those two, being that they have natural purple and they have such ridiculous raw. So, are they the best? I don't have the absolute math on that, but they are pretty damn good. They're pretty damn good, and not to mention, they have great slots on them. They have great slots on the armor and the weapon. The weapon, the weapon has a level 4 slot and a level 3 slot, which the level 3 slot is just basically basically considered a level 2 slot because you can't really put any level 3s of use in there aside from like flinch free. So it's practically a level 2. Has 0% affinity, so no negatives like the Rajang. And the armor though has a plethora. I don't use that word lightly or that often. Has a plethora of slots. In fact, it has so many slots that I often found myself wondering what I was going to put in these slots because there wasn't just enough DPS to put in them. The armor itself, comes with all these slots plus weakness exploits, which will give you up to 50% affinity on wounded parts, and agitator secret. Agitator secret that only needs 2 pieces, and agitator 7 will give you 28 extra attack and 20% extra affinity whenever a monster's in rage, which is most of the time. The only monsters that aren't like pretty much that you can't control their enrage is pretty much just Safi for the most part, just Safi, and that's about it. So let's get right into these builds. I made 6 different builds. They're very interesting. You have to keep in mind that with these builds, they might not necessarily be like suited for your style of play. But for me, I was able to make use of them pretty well and was able to maintain purple sharpness most of the time. So this first build here is just full 5-piece. Like, it's just the full 5 pieces. That's it. You may be wondering, how do you manage with that little sliver of purple sharpness? Well, it's 20 hits, which is about the same as the Rathalos, which is the same as the Rathalos Greatsword. And just like the Rathalos Greatsword, you use Protective Polish to maintain that purple sharpness. And in most of my fights versus Furious Raging and Raging Brachy, I was able to keep purple sharpness almost the entire time as long as I remembered to use my Protective Polish. You only need 3 crit eye. You only need 3 crit eye for 15%, for the 15% affinity from that, because the rest of the affinity is covered via 20% from agitator, 50% from weakness exploit, 10% from 10% from the augment, and additional 5% from the attack boost. So all that added together, in fact, that should be a little over 100. It might be. It's 100. It's pretty sure it's 100. I did the math earlier. I'm not gonna do it again. It's really early morning right now. This is just if you want to look really cool and look like a badass wearing the full 5 armor piece set. You could use this set right here. As you can see, this is the full armor set. You look really cool, and who doesn't? And it's always awesome to like have this a full matching set with a full weapon. It just looks really cool. So I've been using this build a lot, and it works perfectly fine. I made a variation of this build using the alpha boots. The difference between speed sharpen and protective polish is basically just preference. Speed sharpen, I would say, actually works better on weapons that burn sharpness slower. Whereas if you're using something like dual blades or sword and shield or longsword, protective polish is definitely better. So if you don't want to use protective polish, you could do the alpha boots, and you'll have 3 levels of speed sharpen right on those boots. You don't really lose much, and you're able to slot in an extra attack. Granted, remember, if you have double attack, unfortunately, don't have the double attack deco on consoles, so it's harder to get 7 attack. Like on the first build, I couldn't get 7 attack because I don't have any double attack decos. If you have double attack decos, you can easily get 7 attack, easily. Next build here. Now this, I would consider this build here. This is the Meta Slave Master's Touch build, or my variation of it. I've seen a couple other builds that max out the crit eye, and I get that. The builds that max out the crit eye and also have max attack, I've seen almost all of those builds use 2 double attack decos and 2 double experts. I am not that blessed on console. I have 3 double experts on console, but I have no attacks. This build's rarest decos are 2 double agitators. Just having that extra crit eye just means you don't need to rely as much on weakness exploit and agitator. But with greatsword, it's not that much of an issue. You'll find monsters getting exhausted really quickly when you're pounding on them with greatsword, so you can keep that clutch claw up on them. As per usual, actually no, I was about to say as per usual, you need protective polish, but no, this is a Master's Touch build. It's 3-piece Teostra and 2-piece Brachy. I did actually use to make it look like the Brachy set. I layered on Draken and colored it green for the arms and coil to make it look like the Brachy set, to make it match. But if you're looking for something that is the most meta slave build of my set of builds here, it's probably this one. Kaiser Crown, unfortunately that you couldn't upgrade that defense on the Kaiser Crown with this last update, but everything else you can upgrade the defense an additional level. Another variation of this build right here uses the Kaiser Crown. Because you're using the Kaiser Crown, you have one less level 2 slot, and so I'm not able to max out attack, but I was able to max out focus and add an extra divine blessing. So this build is a little safer and a little comfier with the extra focus, but it has 3 less attack. So if you want to go the safer route with Master's Touch, I know a lot of you guys will probably need to be weaned off the Master's Touch meta. This might be a way to do it if you want to have that balance of using some Brachy and still having Master's Touch. You can use either of these 2 builds. This build here, I wanted to make every possible combination without using a Safi weapon. This build here is 2-piece Brachy, 3-piece Safi. This was really interesting because I got rid of all of the Brachy pieces that had weakness exploit on them and replaced them with crit eye. And this also, I'm pretty sure this actually goes. No, this build I think goes to. Oh, let's do the math. Let's see, 40 plus 20. 60 plus weapon augment. That's wait. Okay, hold on. Okay, so 40 plus 6. Wait, 40 plus 20 is 60. Plus, oh yeah, 60 plus 80 is from the Safi bonus. Plus 10 from the augment, plus 5. So it's 95%. This build is only 95%. See, I did the math in my head. I did it, guys. Did the math right there. This build only goes up to 95%, but is arguably a little more reliable than having weakness exploits, since you don't have to worry about a weakness exploit. So preference. It's preference, and if you just want to be different. Using protective polish, you don't have to worry about sharpness. It should also be noted, I tested resentment versus peak performance with the Safi set bonus. It's a little iffy. It's a little iffy to say the least. I did find that peak performance in certain circumstances was better than resentment, and resentment was better than peak performance in other circumstances. So it depends. Either you can put in peak perform like 3 peak performance or 3 resentment. Safi set bonus and greatsword with health augment is really weird. So unfortunately, there's nothing else you can really substitute for peak performance other than just an extra focus and just, I don't know, just random comfy or fire resist or whatever. But this was just a random set I made to see if I could do it and see if it could work, and it worked. And the last set that we have here is a really interesting one. This one is 2-piece Brachy. This one, well, no, it's 3-piece Brachy, and and 2-piece Furious Raging for the 5 max smite. This one, I believe, went up to 110. This one went over cap on affinity. This one to like 110 or 120 affinity, and was also able to fit the most skills. As you can see, it was able to actually get 3 divine blessing into it as well, and even an additional recovery up. Wasn't able to max out attack, but if you do have a double attack that goes, you can probably get out an extra attack here and there. But this build fit the most skills. This build fit the most skills, and utilizing the Max Might secret from the Raging set. I'm not making. If you guys want, leave a comment below if you want me to make Raging builds. I had like a build that just had a Raging Greatsword, but I could make a whole different set of builds using the Raging Greatsword. It's basically just remove for all the other builds just -3 affinity or 3 crit eye because the Raging has 15% affinity on it, and you can just use the Raging Greatsword on all of these builds. But Raging Greatsword also has like way more purple sharpness, so you won't even need protective polish potentially. This build was a really fun and interesting, and it works. It utilizes both set bonuses, and it's not often you get to put like double agitator not often you get to put agitator secret and max might secret in one build and have it work. But this one did. So I hope you enjoyed. And these are my Brachy builds. Again, these may not be the best builds. Maybe not be the best builds, but they're fun, they're interesting, and I would say they're pretty damn optimal. If you like these builds and you want to see more builds for different weapons, if you want to see specific weapons, next video will be on Charge Blade. Charge Blade made some really interesting Charge Blade builds with this armor. Leave a comment below, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. And thank you for watching. And you can follow me on. You can find me on Twitch. Find me on Twitch. I stream every single day, and you can ask me any questions you want there. If you want to make fun of my crappy builds, make fun of me especially there. And I will see you guys on the next video. Good night.